Back on Washington Street. It's like the arts district of Indianapolis. This is the Indiana Repertory Theater. That old classical building. Indianapolis Arts Garden. Wow. This site is where the lynching of John Tucker, a local farmer who was born enslaved in Kentucky in 1800 and later obtained his freedom. He moved to Indianapolis by the mid-1830s, where he raised 2 children. On July 4th, 1845, white laborer Nicholas Wood physically assaulted Tucker as he walked along Washington Street. Tucker defended himself against Wood's attack while retreating up Illinois Street. A large crowd watched as Wood and 2 other men beat Tucker to death here. Wood was convicted of manslaughter, a rarity in an era when black Hoosiers could not testify in court. Wood served 3 years in prison. The others served no time. Lynchings in Indiana from the mid-1800s to 1930 intentionally terrorized black communities and enforced white supremacy. That's crazy, man. So incidents like that didn't just happen like in the deep south, it also happened in the Midwest, like out here in Indianapolis. And in some, it happened up north too. It was all over. That's crazy, man. But at least the individual, even though he served 3 years, at least he was convicted, because that was rare for, you know, a white man to be convicted for killing a black man back during, or a black person period, back during that Jim Crow era, you know. I'm at the Indiana Avenue Historic District in Indianapolis. And this was like the Bill Street and 12th and Vine Street of Indianapolis. You know how 12th and Vine was to Kansas City and Harlem was to New York and Bill Street is to Memphis? That's what Indiana Avenue is. African Americans by the 1890s had established a vibrant social, commercial, and economic community along Indiana Avenue. Black entertainers, entrepreneurs, politicians, and working people developed the avenue into a thriving, widely known neighborhood of the theaters, jazz clubs, stores, offices, and residences. And erected 1994 Indiana Historical Borough with support from individuals and organizations dedicated to preserving the heritage of Indiana Avenue. So yes, a lot of history associated with Indiana Avenue. And right here is the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library. But during the 1890s and during that era, especially after during the Reconstruction era and everything like that, this was one of the musical venues. There was a lot of jazz bars, a lot of businesses and everything of that nature on Indiana Avenue. So a lot of cities during that time, you have to remember, a lot of cities during that time that were populated by a large number of African Americans, there were thriving districts. This was the thriving district of Indianapolis. As you can see, these sculptures right here represent the musical heritage of Indiana Avenue. See somebody like this represents the saxophone player. This represents the drummers. This represents the bass. This represents I believe, now this is I don't know if this is the saxophone or the trombone. I'm not sure. It's one of the woodwind instruments, I know that much. And this represents the guitar player. And it's right here in front of the Gardens of Canal Court residential area. Now, the sad thing about this district is that a lot of the buildings that were constructed or that were up and running during the Harlem Renaissance era, when this district was thriving, a lot of those buildings have been demolished and basically replaced with a bunch of townhouses and office buildings. So we're talking like, and remember, when this era, when Indiana Avenue was thriving, the Jim Crow laws were in effect, so there was segregation during that time. So 1965 is when this area just basically became abandoned, and a lot of urban blight existed within this area. But some of the buildings, remain. A couple of them remain actually, from that era. But it's no longer thriving. Obviously, we're way past those days. But one of the buildings that still exists is the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company, or at least that's what it was back in the early 1900s. Right now it's a Walker Theater, and it is still operational. The Walker Theater is, and it's called the Madam Walker Legacy Center, and they're hosting a concert from Boyz II Men, one of my favorite R&B bands of all time. They're going to be performing here on Friday, June 21st, 2 weeks from now. But Madam C.J. Walker, she was the first self-made millionaire, at least the first recorded first self-made millionaire in America, first female self-made millionaire. Even though that is debatable, because there are sources out there that mention that it was another woman by the name of Mary Ellen Pleasant who was actually the first self-made female millionaire. And this was decades before Madam C.J. Walker came along. We're talking during slavery and after slavery. Mary Pleasant was a millionaire. She had a lot of wealth. So but the first recorded self-made female millionaire was Madam C.J. Walker. So again, very debatable part of history, but this was where Madam C.J. Walker had curated a lot of her hair care products, cosmetics. It was in this particular building right here. But it has since been converted into a theater. So Indiana Avenue is part of the Indianapolis Culture Trail. But there you have it, Indiana Avenue. I'm back, and I'm now over here in the Broad Ripple Village District. This is Broad Ripple District. And right over here is Broad Ripple High School. As I make my way down the main drag of Broad Ripple, which is Broad Ripple Avenue. Now, Broad Ripple Village is on the north side of Indianapolis, so it's about 6 miles north of downtown Indianapolis. It was incorporated as the town of Broad Ripple in 1894, roughly 60 years after it was first platted. So it was its own town for at least close to 30 years. It was its own town, but now it is part of the city of Indianapolis because it was annexed to Indianapolis in 1922. So today it's one of those basically chill neighborhoods, diverse neighborhoods outside of the main part of the city, and it's also located near the White River. They actually have a park called the Broad Ripple Park which is not far from here, which is right on the White River. But right now I'm in the commercial district of Broad Ripple. So it's basically, as you're gonna see momentarily, it's a lot of hangout spots, especially a lot of the college students from Butler University come over here and hang out. So it's one of those type of neighborhoods. Bars, you know, local restaurants, mom and pop stores, that whole thing, you know. Here's a cocktail lounge right here called Cholitas. So there's a lot of restaurants on this strip right here. They got this place called The Shop. It's simply called The Shop. Sells a bunch of apparel relating to Indiana. They have a pizzeria, a slice of New York City called Goodfellas. I wonder how this place is at night. All these bars and restaurants. They got a bar and grill right here. And you know it's not a college hangout spot unless they have a Starbucks. A boutique store right here, Pattaya. They also have a Cold Stone Creamery. I'm craving some ice cream, so I might have to stop back over here on the way back to the car. It's a taco spot called Condado. I love tacos, so I don't know. It might have to be lunch right there. But they have an Indian spot. It's Sahara and Gyros right here. And they have an India Hut restaurant. They got a piercing and tattoo spot right here. Tattoo parlor. sports bar across the street called Old Crow's Table. They got a lot of stuff to do over here, Broad Ripple. A lot of options as far as dining and entertainment. They got sports pub, saloon. They got insomnia cookies. They got all type of stuff over here. Oh, they even have a CD. They have an Indy CD and vinyl shop. Oh, okay. Open 24/7 at indycdandvinyl.com. So not only do they have a physical store, they also have an online store you can order from. Okay. You know, I gotta get the mural. The Broad Ripple in multicolored letters. This image is by Carl Leck, and this was actually painted in this year, 2024, and you can follow him at CB Imagery. So it's a nice little mural right here. Really? It's nice, yeah, it's nice. They just made it this year. Yes, this year, 2024.
It's really new.
Yeah, it's new. Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, this year. Here's one right here too. This is on the alley. This is a image of a horse. Beautiful mural of the horse. A lady, a cowgirl riding a horse. And this is at Bootlegs Inco or Bootleg Sign Co. I think that's what that says. And this is called the Alley Cat right here. I guess this is a bar. And they have a game room, and they have a tavern over here called the Broad Ripple Tavern. So it's a lot to get into. If you don't want to hang out downtown, come out to Broad Ripple. I know one thing, being that it's so hot outside, I'm getting ready to go across the street over here to Cold Stone and get me some ice cream. Might give me a milkshake, I'm not sure. In fact, let me do this. about to go in here. Yo, check out all the vinyls that they have up in here. They got the Casablanca, B.J. Thomas in the Valley, Peace in the Valley, the Shirelles, Sly and the Family Stone, all type of stuff, man. Too Short. Wow, this is fresh. Metaphors. See, I like mixes. I just like mixed records. Like they have a trance, electronic, down tempo mix, and Art of Noise mixed Metaphors with Rakim. Yep. It's a ton of records in here, man. They got Fleetwood Mac and a lot of the classics, and they have them arranged alphabetically. Foreigner. They also got a bunch of CDs. Dude, that was... They even sell turntables too. And check this out, guys. They have an arcade machine, Raiden, and a couple of pinball machines. They got the Simpsons and the Tales from the Crypt and Led Zeppelin pinball machine. This is a nice vibe right here in this. They got a nice setup in here in this store. They get a lot of clientele too. You get a couple of CDs too. I got my 2 records, as you can see. Got my records at Indy CD and Vinyl, 806 Broad Ripple Ave, Indianapolis. Got that in. I got my cookies and cream milkshake, Cold Stone Creamery. So I'm good and satisfied to get back on the road. And that concludes my trip and vlog in Indianapolis. It's been a good few hours in the city. Really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you do, like and subscribe. And for those who are returning, thanks for checking out my content, and thanks for continuing to support my content. With that in mind, you guys have a great day, a great weekend, and can't wait to the next one. Peace.